back to What to Do Wednesdays with Kandi Thompson
and Garrett Gray.
We're super excited for you guys to be joining us for episode 3. Like, we're kind of pros at this already, right?
We're going from the podcast and just having one to being podcaster.
Right, episode 3. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're super excited. So we have Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving to
Happy
everybody out there.
Thanksgiving. Yes, so excited. So I have to tell you a funny story. So we had a foreign exchange student in 2018, 2019, and he became part of our family. He was from Norway. He is still from Norway. And he was just super awesome. And it's so funny though, when he joined our family and he was here for an entire school year. I mean, just what you don't know and the questions that this poor guy would get asked. And I think the funniest ones for me were Thanksgiving.
Really?
Everyone, I mean, we all know that Thanksgiving is because America was founded, right? Like, this is Christopher Columbus and the Pilgrims, and that's what we've been celebrating our whole lives. But how many people would ask him if they celebrate Thanksgiving in Norway?
So I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So does he celebrate it?
No, no, it's an American holiday because America was founded, right?
Yeah, but after all these years, you think some people would have started adopting it, not as like a founding thing, but just as like a together and thankfulness thing.
Yes.
So I think that's what it's more turned into. And, I'd probably say some of the younger generation, trying to learn that and how Christopher Columbus came by and what the whole point was. But then we turned it now into being thankful and getting everybody together in one household, whether the fights happen or don't happen. I don't know what they're fighting of. But it's to getting together. And like me personally, and from what I've done and being all over the world and during times like this, that's what it turned into, right? I mean, we're across the world. We'll still celebrate it whether we're on a ship or overseas, but it was more about just kind of having that slow down time to get together, tell stories, and just be thankful that we're here, right? And together doing it at as a team, a family. So
no, it's a unique tradition. It's an American tradition, and even and I want you to know that I am not well versed in all countries,
right?
But I do fully understand Norway at this point. I mean, as much as I can, right? And so it was hilarious though. Like him stuffing a turkey was the weird. I mean, it was hilarious, and buttering the bird and sticking his hand in the bird, and it was just. It was an experience. And he, of course, loved it because he loves to eat. And so that was a really fun thing for him. But it was so funny. And I don't think I realized how people just don't realize what the holiday is about either. Like how many people asked him in Norway and he was always so polite when people would ask. I mean, people asked him if they barbecue in Norway. That is no joke. Like the kind of questions that, do you barbecue in Norway? Like barbecuing isn't just an American thing. Like it's just hilarious. So the kind of questions he got asked, and he was always so gracious and kind to people about it, and he didn't make them feel dumb. But Thanksgiving was one of those that I always thought if people thought just for a second about this holiday, they would like Christmas is everywhere, right? Jesus is everywhere.
Right.
But Thanksgiving is when America was founded. So
you don't think about that in the midst of things, right? That's kind of crazy. So traditions. Now, seeing that you've had a ton of, foreign exchange students, stuff like that, have you ever made a new tradition for your family, or you guys kind of kept traditions going from when you were growing up?
We've done Thanksgiving kind of at our house pretty much. Since we've been adults, there was a period of time when Adam and I were like 18, 19, 20 that, you'd have to spend time at both families' houses, right? But since we've had kids, we've pretty much hosted Thanksgiving at our house.
Turned into the home base.
Yeah. Right. And we have a large family. So I'm the baby of 5. Right. And for a long time, all my sisters lived here. And so we would, everybody would come over to our house. We all have our signature dishes that we make. And honestly, it's the only time we make them the entire year. So like, you're so excited to be able to eat what you are. I cannot wait for certain things. And so that's always been our tradition. And we try to say what you're thankful for. We try the best we can to not have any drama. And that's it.
I think that's simple and easy.
Yeah.
I like it. when when I was younger, it was like we actually, and now it's changed since now again having kids, right, and doing your own family thing, and also being away for 10 years, right. You can't really just fly back all the time because it starts getting a little
Right,
costly.
right.
When I was younger, it was like we would go to my grandma's house, which we all live in the county, so we go to my grandma's house, but I didn't realize that not everybody got dressed up for Thanksgiving
Oh.
until I married my wife and went to her Thanksgiving. I'm not saying it'd be a bad thing, but like all the Christmases and any family gathering that we did with my family, it was always like you dressed well, right? You got a nice
right.
collared shirt, you had slacks on, you had nice shoes.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle Jimmy, who rest in peace, he would always have nice shine boots, right? Hard black Wranglers and a pearl button up, cowboy
Right,
style.
right,
But it was always like his best dress.
right.
So we always that's what I've always done. And my wife made it. It was kind of funny because every year she always like, well, we're gonna put the kids in this year because I know your parents like to be dressed up and stuff. But I was like, one year she said that, and I was like, no, everybody just kind of dresses nice, right?
Right,
You're
right.
going to see family dress nice, right? But I just think about like not everybody does that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And now it's starting to get easier, right? But like people show up at Christmas, which we'll talk about in Christmas, but it's like the same kind of thing. We always open our presents at the very end of the night. It wasn't like you woke up and just opened presents and PJs and stuff, right?
Okay.
It was like you had dinner,
Wow.
conversed. And I think my parents' biggest thing, just like Thanksgiving, they want to, no TV, no phones, like sit and talk and enjoy people,
Yeah.
right? Like get into the thankfulness and what we bring and conversations and know about the year and things like that. So
Right.
I think that's where we kind of get our point from. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny, but as blowouts and fights and arguments, we've only had one through the years that I've been alive. So
That's hilarious.
But
Well, we are I would say for us, I mean, we do like to play games. We're a game family.
Mhm.
And so we have Nintendo Switch, which is super fun, especially for big families because it's on the TV and everybody's logging in on their phone. So, like the You Don't Know Jack games are usually our favorite. They're hilarious. So that's always something we end up doing at the end of the night, which is super fun. But 2 years ago, the girls and I were buttering the bird, and we love buttering the bird and we love getting it ready. It's one of our favorite things to do. But my girls are sassy and they get that from Adam. And so and I mean they're jokingly sassy, but
like the quiet guy behind the camera.
Yep.
I would never believe it.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to believe. Anyway, so we're buttering the bird and we have them and they're buttering me. So as we're doing this, they keep buttering my arms. And so at some point, Adam catches this is probably going to be a good thing to record, but we don't even know that he's recording.
Yeah.
So they have buttered me enough to where it's on. And now I'm like, oh no, like now they're getting it. So you can see they both stepped back a second and I'm like, they're coming, I'm gonna like get them. And so we're doing this because this is just funny and this is how we behave. And so I go to butter Emily and I knock the entire turkey on the ground. And we died. And I had to grab him by his arms and throw him back up as fast as we could. And I was like, he's the only bird we've got. Like, we can't tell the family that he's been on the ground. We have dogs. Like, we gave him another bath. We walked him all up and we had to butter him again. We put him in the oven. And at the end of the night, we played that video for everyone after they'd already eaten so that they weren't worried about eating it.
I'm gonna have to get that video.
I'll send it to you.
Perfect.
Yes. And Adam got it on video. I was like, how classic. And you can see like it hits the ground and it like rolls over here. It's hilarious. So
back in the day, they used to send those videos to America's funny old videos, right? Like, what are we doing? Let's get that back going.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was so funny. So anyway, that is one of our funniest, I think, Thanksgiving situations that have happened. But
it's almost the sense of like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
Oh my gosh. We laughed so hard. And Adam's laugh in the video is like the best thing of the whole thing. Because it was like so unexpected. I mean, he just thought he was getting banter, but to get the bird on the ground, it was hysterical. Yes, our goal every year is to not put the bird on the ground. Yeah, we're very cautious with our buttering now.
I feel like that's a very easy bar to go over. Okay. Then again, you see videos on Instagram all day long or TikTok that people are accidentally dropping the bird on the
Oh
ground. I
gosh.
just saw a video yesterday that was like this girl was trying to. I mean, there's a way for it, right? They open the bird up, right? So like
Okay,
barbecue it.
okay.
It's not like it's a stuffed or baking,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And you have to crack the center plate to really get it
Oh,
out. I forget the
okay.
name of it. If you guys know, go ahead and just post it in there. But the girl was on top of the island up there, like getting in like the CPR stance. Like I'm assuming she's like some first
Oh,
responder, and she's like, "Okay, ready, 1, 2," and she goes to push down on it, and her knees slip out, and she pushes the bird off
oh
the top
my
of it, and then
gosh.
she falls off
Oh
the
my
top. I'm
God.
like, everything's
That's
just going bad.
hysterical.
I'm like,
That's
but it's kind of
hilarious.
like your thing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's just
But
worst
thank
case
God they got it on
scenario,
video.
right?
Oh gosh, that's so funny.
That's
So
what brings us joy.
that's right. We do wish you guys all a very,
Yes,
very happy Thanksgiving and no bird on the ground and no person on the
bad
ground.
news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just very, very excited. And
No.
so, anyway, we're so excited to be able to talk to you guys this week about interest rate buy
Interest
downs.
rate buy downs, which are it's very crucial to understand from a seller standpoint, but it's very beneficial to understand as the buyer standpoint
Yeah.
because I put it up on my stories this week, and it's something that's very important for you guys to know because when you sit there, you're like interest rates are high, right? And they're right now they're I think a low 7 or I think I looked up they're a high 6, which that
Mm-hmm.
means they're coming down again,
Right, right.
slowly, but they're coming down. But this gives you the possibility to even get them lower.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And if the more information you understand about how it's going to help you in your payments, that's huge.
Right, right.
So if you're able to get into the low sixes, I mean maybe fives, right, which would be a lot of points, but
Yes.
by just 1 point, it will give you the ability to almost lower your payments a couple $100, keeping
Yes.
that in your pocket.
Right. Right. And being able to really afford more house. So that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, we go to a lender. We honestly do not care how much of the price of the house is.
No.
We only care how much our payment's going to be.
Correct.
So we go to a lender and say, hey, here's all my financials. How much can I afford? They tell us what price of a home we can afford and we go shopping, right? Yeah. So that whatever that price is only matters based off of what your payment is.
Right.
So if your payment is, let's just say for round number, $3,000 a month,
Okay.
keep in mind we live in California, the $3,000 a month for your house payment, then and you can only afford, 3,000, but the house that you want is going to land you at 3,400 a month.
Yeah, after insurances
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, you're going to be up
That's
there.
right.
So
And that's where the benefit of an interest rate, if the interest rate could be bought down a percent
Mhm.
or a point, then your payment could be right in that range for this little bit priced, a little bit more priced house. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's what I try to work in with my buyers, right? So every time I go up to the buyers, we have a conversation. And when we put in the offer, we're always asking for what's called seller credit. And now, what seller credit does is that now this is one of many ways you can get your points bought down. Okay?
Right, right.
I ask for seller credit. And what that does is there's a couple ways that seller credit is used. And what that some are is to help with not down payment assistance, I'm sorry, closing costs. So to lower the bill from closing costs, which could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, right, depending on the home. It helps pay that down so you guys could bring no money to closing, or it could also go for your points, right? And then from what I've been told, you correct me if I'm completely wrong, but 1% of the sales price is potentially 1 point towards your interest rate.
Right. Let me think. 1% of the sales price is 1 point. Yes. So that is, and it is, I mean, your, another really great advantage to interest rate buy downs are also when you're representing a seller. So when you're representing a seller, which we just recently did this, one of my agents, we had a property, it went over asking price, but it didn't appraise over asking price.
Oh, I remember.
So now we're having to come down in the price of the home. So let's just make something that is a little bit more understandable. So you're a seller and you're trying to sell your home, let's say for $500,000.
Right.
And it's just not you're just not getting an offer. Yeah, just not getting an offer.
It'd be like the thing, a lot of showings, no offers.
Right.
Which usually means price is a little high.
Right. So buyers coming in that you're getting, it's getting shown, people are not putting in an offer. So we know that the price has to be lowered, but here's the difference and here's the benefit to a seller. to be able to lower the price, say even $30,000, $40,000. So you go from 500 to 460. Well, that seems like that should be a very big difference in a buyer's payment. It's really not that much. It's a couple $100. So what, instead of doing that, the advantage to a seller is to say, I'm willing to give a buyer $10,000 toward their interest rate buy down. So instead of them coming off of the price 40,000, they're only coming out of pocket 10,000, but that 10,000 could potentially buy the buyer's interest rate down an entire point, which would now make this house affordable. So it really is a win-win. I mean, it can be a little bit confusing. So, but it's something you want to talk to your lender about, because there are options of doing permanent rate buy downs. There's also what they call 2-1. So like you can do, it goes down 2% in the first year, then 1% in the second year, and then it's back to what its normal interest rate would be. That's an option also. There are many options around this. So it is, if you're buying or you're selling, it's a really good idea to talk to your lender.
Yeah, ask the questions for your real estate agent, because it's not just always coming from the seller. If you guys have money in your pocket as a buyer, right, and you're able to get a lot of money paid up front, you can use your money and buy down your rate too with your lender. It's that simple, right? The whole transaction for real estate is, how can we help each other to make sure that we can get our goal? As a seller, I need the money to either pay my loan off and use the money for a new house. As a buyer, to get into our forever home or our potentially first home.
That's right.
And we're all working together here. We're all on the same team. Let's just come up with the best deal. So the more you know to make you feel comfortable as someone either buying or selling, that's what we do. That's right. This is why you come here, ask your questions to give us that information what we could talk about. And this is a huge point, because a lot of people don't know this.
That's right. A lot of sellers don't know it. Buyers, we do a lot of listing presentations, and we share this with them, that this is one of our strategies in helping buyers qualify, is not trying to drop the house as much as we can, but let's find out how much interest we can buy down for what percentage
to get you into that payment that's comfortable for you. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And sellers, they're seeing, I mean, especially probably buyers too, they're seeing this big 6-digit, 7-digit number, and they're just saying, oh my gosh, right? How am I either going to pay that, or I need that? There's no way I can go away from that, right? I got to do all this other stuff to make it comfortable for myself. So this is some of the strategic ways that you could be able to feel comfortable selling your home at a good price, and then buying a home, and then being comfortable with that monthly payment.
That's right.
It's great.
Absolutely. And it's great options to talk to your lender about, talk to your agent about it. Also, I just wanted to remind everybody with WhatToDoWednesdays@gmail.com. That's WhatToDoWednesdays with an S at gmail.com. Any questions that you have for us, life, Jesus, world, parenting, real estate, whatever you have, send them our way. And speaking of questions, Garrett, you got a question.
I was just say, so we got a question came in from Luke Fronick. He's out there in Nevada. Hope you're doing well, man. So his question, he's a business owner, and he's a first-time home buyer looking to buy a home, but he has a bunch of auto loans because he started a business with Turo. So he rents out his cars, like goes to Reno and gives out cars.
We love Turo.
Which is awesome. But with that, he's worried about his debt to income ratio, having a bunch of car loans. How is he going to be able to get his mortgage, have a good number for a first-time house?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of debt there.
As you can see, if you have a bunch of cars. So do you have anything to weigh on in that question first?
So when it's a business, they look at the debt a little bit differently, in my understanding, that if your business is paying for the car versus your personal finance is paying for the car, they're going to look at that a little bit different. I have a corporate car. So in my corporation and my business, when we bought our house, my car payment did not count against my debt to income ratio for purchasing my house, because I could prove that I had 12 months worth of payments that my corporation paid for my car.
So again, you have the backing from it for 12 months. So and that's exactly what. So I hit up Stephen Nguyen. He's our preferred lender that we use with Prosperity Mortgage, and he gave me a good little insight. And it's pretty much like what you said. So he said mortgage companies don't like it. Oh, let me. That's my next question I had for him. So he said it was a great question. So he said auto loans can be excluded as long as they're not being paid out of the account, only works if there's a co-signer on the car, and you need to prove that 12 months of car payments from the other person's account. So as long as you're able to have that back in 12 months. And he says, as far as a business paying for the car, you can exclude that from the debt to income, DTI is what we sometimes say, as well as because the business is paying for it and you need to prove at least 12 months and has to be on taxes.
Got it.
So, but if you're looking at a conventional loan, it'll do that. It'll exclude it. For FHA loans, it won't exclude that. Okay. So that's going to be a different organization of your mortgage, or how your loan's going to be structured, depending on what, when we go to our lenders, they give you a bunch of different avenues. They say, this will work A, this will work B, this will work C. What do you want to do? These are what the payments look like, right?
Right.
So that comes up to, do I have a business? Do I have a bunch of cars? Do I need them excluded? Then you're probably going to be better to go conventional on that.
Right.
If you're looking for down payment assistance and going FHA, it might be differently structured because you can't exclude those debt to incomes because you're still paying for it out of an account that's going to be looked at from the bank that's giving you the loan.
That makes sense.
Right.
I just want to ask one question, and you may not know the answer, but it said something about needing to be co-signed. What was it talking about?
So. Okay, yeah, so right
and
here
that may be a question that we ask Stephen and come back to you too.
So he says, great question. As long as it's being paid out of their account, only works if there is a co-signer on the car. So I'm saying like a business person with you, but if you're a single business owner, then.
So what I'm thinking is that if it's being paid out of your personal account, you have to have a co-signer on it with you in order for it to not count against you.
Okay.
If it's being paid out of a business account, you have to provide the 12 months worth of proof.
Gotcha.
That it's being paid out of a business account.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Got it.
Yeah, because he said, right at the beginning. So can be excluded as long as they're not being paid out of their account.
Got it.
If you're getting paid out of their account, only works if there's a co-signer on the car. Need that 12 months.
Got it. That makes sense to me. Okay. Got it. Yeah. And so we are next week we're going to be excited to actually break down the loan types and different loan types and how those can benefit you and what those look like. That's a common question for people. Like, what is a conventional loan compared to an FHA loan?
And then add that into a VA loan, right? Like there's a lot of benefits, especially in the military community, that you guys can be getting a home with no money out of your pocket.
That's right.
Right. 0% or 100% financing.
That's right.
And there's a national cap, right? And there's a state cap depending on what works. But that's important for us to know. So you guys got to tune in next week and we'll be going over that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, super exciting.
I know. And just remember, you guys, any questions that you have, follow us on our YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe. It's at WTDW little s.
Little s.
Yep.
So all caps, little s.
Yep. So we do have our YouTube channel. We're very excited about that. And we're excited to come to you next week. And we realize that once a week is a frequent podcast, but we're What to Do Wednesdays. So we're excited. That's why we try to keep them short and give little bits of information each time. So we're very thankful for you tuning in, and we're super excited to see you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving. We just want to give you a What to Do Wednesday disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official stance of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services or Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties or any affiliated entities. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice, and listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding their specific needs. While we strive to provide accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or reliability of any information discussed. We are not responsible for any actions taken by listeners based on the content in this podcast. Additionally, topics covered in the podcast are based on the host's experience and opinions and may not apply to all situations. Listeners are reminded that real estate laws and regulations may vary by location and information may become outdated over time. By listening to this podcast, you agree to release the host, guests, and any associated entities from any liability related to the topics discussed.